We have moved over to Europe for today. We're going to have Barrage take on exceL and Arrival take on exceLence, but pretty exciting matchups here once again. You know, we only have the 4 teams, but it's awesome to get them, you know, kind of play against each other so many times.
Both these two sets, they're going to face each other the way they faced each other in the week #1, so it's going to be a little bit of a rematch for both these two teams. We're going to look at the standings real quick, as exceLence is at the top at 4-2. 4 of those wins coming against exceL. Meanwhile, Barrage and Rival tied at 3-1.
Yeah. The big thing here is that we haven't really been able to gauge, you know, exceLence's true skill level because they have only beat the 1 team. Barrage and Rival were seen as the top 2 cards coming out of the qualifiers, both, you know, in the finals almost every single week. So it's going to be interesting to see exceLence take on Rival here again and see if they fare a little bit better. But we got a matchup before that, and it is Barrage taking on exceL here. Let's get straight into the Bixen bands and see how everything's going to play out.
exceL's going to need to do a lot of work. This is going to be a rematch for them. They have yet to find a win now, so something needs to change for them. Meanwhile, Barrage, on the other hand, they have a sub currently today. It's going to be ManLikeStacy playing for Proxy.
What a
QQ.
name. What a ManLikeStacy. What a name. Yeah, Proxy out, though. I mean, Proxy's been a pretty prominent figure in the SCL scene here, so maybe something to worry about for Barrage and maybe a little bit of hope for exceL as they try and get their first win. Bans coming through, just junglers taken out by exceL so far.
Just the typical Ao Kuang and the Susanoo. One has high damage, the other has really high mobility. Taking both off the table leaves Guan Yu is open in this position. Maybe Athena also.
Yeah, those are kind of the 2 picks I would expect. I mean, Guan Yu's got to go in these first 3 picks, I imagine. If exceL don't first pick it, which they have, Barrage would have immediately locked that away from them.
A few counters that Barrage could potentially find against the Guan Yu is either the Circuit or the Odin, trying to get that anti-healing lockdown on the Guan.
Yeah, I'm really looking at that Odin pick more. So it is an option that can flex. We've seen it in the jungle, we've seen it in support role and in the solo role, but Barrage, they're going to go with Scylla straight away. So they do have one of those mages that has an ability to get away from the Guan Yu if he dives that back line.
With Raijin and Zeus being banned, Scylla becomes a high priority pick for that late game mage damage. So nice idea behind Barrage. We're going to see something to synergize with. It's more than likely it could be an Athena, but you don't necessarily need to pick an Athena at this position since Guan Yu's already picked that. It's more than likely going to be support, but Nasha synergizes very well with Scylla.
Yeah, just send someone up into the sky. You know exactly where they're going to land. It's going to be a free combo for Scylla as long as they can time their abilities appropriately. exceL here looking to pick something up.
And off of this, exceL is going to have to deal with the early aggression from the Naja, making sure that they're going to be aggressive enough as well, and that's going to be the Thor pick.
Yeah, so I mean that's a pretty high potency jungler here. They're also looking for another pick. Now the Guan Yu, like we kind of mentioned, you know, can be that flex, right? So we don't necessarily know if this is support or solo. It's not going to be jungle with the Thor picked up more than likely unless they really want to do some shenanigans with like a Thor support or Thor solo. Instead, they're going to go their Hunter. So it's still kind of that wow, I cannot say words right now.
Don't worry, Purified.
Purified, yeah, that's
Yeah,
what you said purification was. But Guan Yu could go into multiple roles here, and it's really only their mage that they need to find somewhere.
Guan Yu Hu Yi is pretty strong in the dual lane whenever the Guan Yu can bunch up the wave with a Talu Assault. Hu Yi can just use the throwing dagger to his advantage, also using the ricochet. Then you don't really need to line up a wall shot off. And like we mentioned before, something to synergize with Scylla is going to be that Athena.
And I like the Athena pick. Not only will it synergize with Scylla, it's also a pretty good counter to Guan Yu and Thor, who rely pretty heavily on kind of these channeled abilities in Talu Assault and Berserker's Barrage. Going to be able to immediately taunt those away.
Speaking of which, another good counter to those two would be an Apollo for Barrage. That option is still available to them. And if I'm exceL, more than likely, that's a pick that I don't want Barrage to pick.
And we'll see if they ban it away. Instead, they ban away the Chronos. So a little bit shot at the Soul Winner here. A little bit worried that he's going to, or the dual lane running that kind of mage there. And they're going to take out the Neath. And it was Barrage banning away support. So they don't think the Guan Yu's going to go support role. They feel it's going to be into the solo lane.
And that could be easily exploited with some early aggression, whether it's Ravana, whether it's the Osiris, the Bellona. It's going to be exactly that.
And Robin locked in. So exceL looking to counter here. They need either a solo or support. Barrage seemed to think that they need the support, and they'll need a mage as well. However, the Zeus Raijin locked away. I'm a little bit surprised that Barrage actually didn't ban away mages instead. Do you like the support bans overall?
Considering that it's a Khepri and a Sobek, 2 gods that are very good defensively and have some pretty good offensive traits as well, it's not a bad idea. Especially when you have an Athena that is trying to set your team up in the mid game, it's not a bad idea.
But Cabrakan locked in, and I think that one's going solo lane. We've seen Cabrakan really dominate, especially with the changes to Mark to the Vanguard now. No more magic protection, just that 10 physical, so helpful in that solo lane against those warriors like Ravana. And it's going to be the Janus as well.
Going to have a lot of mobility with the Thor and the Janus that through space and time is going to allow exceL to move very quickly. Cabrakan having that steroid. This is a very mobile team from exceL, and the last pick from Barrage is going to be that Apollo mezzing the Guan Yu and the Thor channeling abilities.
Tremors as well can get canceled out, so there's, you know, a lot of abilities that both the Apollo and Athena can look to counter here. We're going to be getting into game one, though. exceL taking on Barrage. Barrage getting the better of this matchup last time they faced off.
The first game that they played, it was a very quick game, 28 minutes, with Barrage winning 19-10. In the second game, it was a surrender from exceL at the 26-minute mark. They were down 12-2.
It's because they excel. They're not excellent.
One day they'll ascend.
One day
they'll excel to excellence.
That's the overall dream. But let's take a look at the players here, and it is ManLikeStacy subbing in for Proxy QQ in that jungle position. So see how he performs. This is going to be his first time in this matchup. I'm excited to see really how he plays.
So the shenanigans that I'm spotting is...
Did you already spot shenanigans?
Well, kind of. It's just a Naja without a red pot.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
it's just trying to play a little more safe.
Which, yeah, I mean, normally, is that just because they have or they feel like they have that late game presence with the Apollo Scylla?
More than likely, they're going to try to just use that mobility to out-farm the Thor instead of looking for fights. You have the extra mobility. However, you're dealing with a Janus on the opposing side, and it's very difficult to match that mobility.
Well, we'll see how Stacy adapts to this one. Early game, though, no invades coming out. Pretty standard starts. Red buffs into boars and speed buffs into blue buffs. We'll see if Thor elects to go into the lane or transition over to the mid, but because he started the speed, I'd have to imagine they're just going to be 2v2ing there in that position.
And with that, the Thor and the Naja staying in the solo lane, there's going to be a quick rotation coming out of the Scylla, trying to get into the solo lane as Fudge barely gets out alive.
Yeah, Fudge having to get away with the hammer there just barely, and it was the Scylla actually trying to get those fire imps, and I'm not exactly sure who got them when you're looking at the mid laners, but no, I think it was a Scylla because she has a little bit more gold. So she got the fire imps, and both junglers getting very low there.
And exceL are starting off with a very aggressive opening, picking up 3 starting potions, trying to make something happen in the early game.
And really aggressive play coming out from all there. Low on health, but he's got the minions backing him up, so he's not too worried. And this Guan Yu getting pushed back in the duel lane, not something you typically see, especially with how much presence you have. Double tap on the mark here, but Stacy able to create enough distance before that Berserker's Barrage finishes him off.
They're trying to do these mid-harpies without their cooldowns, and now this could be a counter gauge, but the ring bounce does miss, so that's going to favor exceL picking up those lefts, and I think they got rights earlier, so that's 2 mid-harpies early on for exceL.
I mean, the problem we're seeing right now is level 2 coming out from this Naja, just hitting level 3. The Thor was already level 4, so a massive experience advantage in favor.
Having to use the purification, making sure that the double tap would not connect on the Naja. Beautiful recognition, avoiding getting first blooded.
And look at those back RPs still up from both teams. So I mean, neither team's really able to make anything happen just yet here. The ring bounce doing everything it can, but Stacy really needs to pick up the farming.
I still believe that exceL are putting themselves in an awkward position, having these starting potions, but not really being able to successfully utilize them this early.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that Fudge has just been getting poked out so much. We've seen him go aggressive and try and fight, but it's not like he's winning the trade wars. He also has to disengage. He can't fully commit to trying to kill someone.
Barrage are the ones that are playing aggressive in the mid lane, making sure they're the ones to clear the way first. But Fudge is going to land on the mid lane, trying to set something up, doing a little bit of poke, but nothing really coming out of it.
Double level 5s coming out for Fudge and Hatters, but they're both going to hit it. And actually, here comes the Alma Monster trying to set it up. No movement speed for Fudge, but he's still able to juke it out. The ring bounce just shy of killing him off, and that potion going to waste, like you said, Toli.
It's not going to find the kill, but it's going to force Fudge to back more quickly than he would like to. Going to miss out on some experience as the Scylla is going to be able to clear the mid wave. Meanwhile, the dual lane trying to get off some poke between both of them teams.
This is trouble for all. He's actually already used his dash, but Drizzi switching targets, looks for the Apollo who's low mana. And honestly, if Rawski hits 5, I think they could probably just kill Jeron here. I think like he has no movement abilities, he has no mana, but they don't feel like they have that opportunity.
He's going to have a very well-timed purification. The Guan Yu cavalry charge will do a lot of damage if all 6 of them hits occur on the Apollo. Now, looking at this red buff invade, I don't think exceL recognized this, but Barrage is just going to back off instead.
The problem was Barrage really just didn't pull the trigger there. I mean, they had that red buff for free. They also had their duo lane kind of nearby, but I guess since they were getting pressured out, they didn't want to take the risk. The Thor ult was up, so they could have got countered. There's level 5 coming up from Stacy, actually burns the Purification on Hatters with a nice stun as well. So a win in the Relic department.
Beautiful patience also by Naja, not blowing the ultimate right away, recognizing the fact that 9 times out of 10 after you land that Naja sash, more than likely the Purification will come out in an attempt of countering that ultimate.
And that's one of the biggest strengths of Naja, or that's, you know, the biggest thing about players who play him is it's really all about those mind games, right? It's like, when are they going to burn their Purification, like you said? Are they going to reactionary do it? Because there are those players, and then you know different players that do it. Taunt in the mid lane here. Nice root. Oh, nowhere for Hatters to go. He's going to fall here after he drops down. Stacy secures it with the ring bounce.
The portal was really nice idea, trying to avoid the crush, but the damage was still just too much for the Janus to handle. Going to be first blooded. The purple pot not going his way, as well as the rest of exceL. The Thor Janus starting combination just didn't work out early game for them.
I mean, level 7 on the Thor, though, he is out farming Stacy. We've noted that Stacy has been behind for the most part, but the gold's still even. So the experience difference, as long as it only stays, you know, less than a level, I mean, this is a massive win for Barrage.
You just have to keep in mind that there is that 900 gold disparity because it was a 3-to-1 potion start for both of these two teams. Left-hand side, Mid Harpies going the way of exceL, meanwhile, Barrage picking up the rights.
And they're just going to farm that up one, and Barrage still ahead by about 500, just the first blood bounty, double tap off the mark. There's a taunt onto Rawski, but no follow-up from the rest of Barrage. Just both teams, I think, trying to burn those relics. You could see Scylla just getting hers off cooldown. Stacy on the Naja already had his off cooldown after having to burn it in the early game.
Stacy already level 6 compared to Fudge's level 8, so good job by Fudge. Even though he had to back early game in the middle lane, he's still doing a good job farming, and this is due to him getting the speed buff earlier on, getting those back rights. Meanwhile,
even both mids, I think he got.
The first ones. I'm not sure if he got the second rights, but he definitely got the solo lefts. And off of that, Stacy is just a little bit behind, just now picking up the speed buff. Meanwhile, Thor has had it for a while.
I think that's more about, you know, experience. Like we said, this guy's filling him for proxy. We haven't really seen him play at a high level. I'm not sure if he's a rename, but I'm assuming he's just, you know, any normal player here. So probably just trying to get back into the swing of things. Not sure how much he's scrimmed with his team, but that could be a lot where he's just not used to kind of the timings and rotations at this high of a level.
Dash taunt going to connect onto Fudge Crush and the Naja stun. And
there
goes the ultimate.
Yeah, it seemed like he didn't really want to burn the Purification, but there is no follow-up. Oh, nice root, actually. The Scylla ultimate's going to connect, and that's going to be a reset. Looking for his second swing, but Rawski not in position to snipe. Oh, and just barely Stacy lives.
The beautiful thing about that Scylla ultimate, not only did it find the kill onto the Thor, it also hit the Guan Yu at the same time. So if that second I'm a Monster connected onto the Guan Yu, that would have been a second easy kill for Barrage.
And I mean, Hatters would have been in trouble as well. They could have turned their attention to him, but overall, just a single kill on the board after that engagement. Barrage now leading 2-0 and about a 1,000 gold lead.
And the thing was, Thor had Purification up that whole time.
Yeah, he didn't respect it, I think.
Didn't respect the damage. Whenever you're up in the air with the Naja taking you up into the air, followed up, Scylla can easily combo that off. So should always respect the chain CC potential between the Athena and the Naja setting up the Scylla.
I think that was the thing. He was worried about burning the Purification just off the Athena taunt, but the second, I mean, Barrage basically all into him, especially when they saw that the Purification didn't immediately come out. But Fudge here, he's going to still be 2 levels ahead of Stacy, going to be getting his speed buff once again, and he does have a gold lead over Stacy. So, I mean, just the farming efficiency, really well played by him.
Right Harpies are going to be taken from exceL. Meanwhile, Fudge are just going to let the support and mid lane are going to pick that up, while the blue buff are going to be assisted on top of Kaajee.
And you can see he's going to be building into the Jotun's Wrath. We've seen a little bit of some switch-ups in the recent months where players are building kind of that Void Shield instead. A little bit of tanky, but just having those abilities off cooldown as much as possible, I think, benefiting a god like Thor.
Normally you would see Void Shield when you have a physical in the solo lane, but in this position when you have a Cabrakan, it makes it a little less tempting to pick up that Void Shield. You still also have very late game damage with the Hui, and on top of that you do have a Guan Yu support, so that could do a lot of damage. So it's not a bad idea either way.
Yeah, maybe later on. Oh. Nice little crush there, hitting both players.
Good poke. That can easily set up for another engage as long as the Athena can find a nice dash taunt.
And it's actually going to be Stacy taking one up into the air here. Here's the combo, and I'm a Monster going to connect. Not enough to kill. And actually, Thor's still alive, but only for a quick second there. Fudge does fall. The stun coming out. Stacy probably going to get turned on. Rawski answers back for exceL and finally getting their first kill on the board.
Trading 1 for 1. Yet again, Fudge holding on to the purification, not respecting the CC and the damage online from Barrage.
Needs to be a little bit faster with that one, but it is a jungle for jungle trade, so he is going to at least remain in the lead of Stacy there. Still has that 2-level. The thing is, I don't think we're really seeing him take advantage of it. He's never the engager. He's always the one getting engaged on.
And whenever you're trading 1 for 1 jungle side, you have to look at who's more ahead. In this position, Fudge is more ahead, so therefore it's going to benefit Stacy. On top of that, Fudge died with a speed buff, whereas Stacy's speed buff is still available.
So actually being less efficient at the jungle clear has helped him out a little bit.
Ever so, it's calculated.
It's calculated, man.
He's putting the Scylla in a better position than the Janus. So that's one strategy that some junglers do. We see the utility style where even though you do sacrifice your own life or your own farm, you're getting at least your mid laner ahead.
And speaking of mid laners, hi-rez just getting chunked, actually getting aggressed on. No purification, but the ring toss is off the mark. Stacy in a little bit of trouble. No ultimate, and Rawski chains him down with that Talu assault. Not even Warrior Tabby online. I mean, that's just Guan Yu's base damage.
Can we see what Guan Yu is maxing out here?
It's got to be the Talu. I mean, he was...
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually the heal. So it's the Talu's only level 3.
Which is pretty... It's generally the typical style you want to do as a support. You want to be able to max out the heal, but he only has 4 points into that heal and 3 points into the Talu Soul. That just goes to show the actual strength of the Talu Soul. Only level 3, still doing that much damage.
Berserker's Barrage did hit in addition to that, and a double tap. This is trouble, and here he comes looking for the stun. Rawski can't find it, switches targets over to the Athena through space of time. Not going to connect on to anyone, but it might be able to set up a kill, but Athena is going to manage to get out to safety. And the chase is on, though. Solo laners have made their rotation.
Watson has already here. Now we have a rotation from Kaajee trying to bail out. The stuns are coming out. A lot of damage on the board. Tremors is going to force Watson to disengage as Guan Yu is going to find the slow, and Watson's going to fall very shortly.
But Athena has already made the way back in, found 3 members, forced some purifications as well. Naja takes Rawski to the sky. 3 hits. Is it going to be enough? Damage just short, and he's actually going to get stunned out, so Stacy can't follow it up, and he's going to get finished off by Kaajee in the meantime. Trying to get the kill is but his taunt's not long enough. The DR keeps the taunt short, and Rawski lives. Drizzi takes out and exceL have quickly turned this game on its head.
Apollo lands on top of Rawski, finding the return kill, finally finding something in response. Meanwhile, Fudge landing back onto Jeron. Sanctuary going to absorb a lot of that Berserker Barrage, and that mess, he's body blocked, nowhere for him to go. Crush doing a little bit of damage. I'm a monster!
Oh, just shy of the damage and no more cooldowns for Elexum, and now he's in the middle of 4. He actually has to sentinel into a tower, trying to get away.
Smart.
Drizzi actually looking to find the stun. Ricochet, it's going to be off the mark, and Elexum actually doing a great job of juking right now. Going to miss the root, and surprisingly, exceL not going to chase anymore.
Drizzi not enough mana to find the jump. Beautiful mindset for Elexum. He recognized the only safe option for him to go was back into the tier 1 tower of exceL and escaping with that decision.
I mean, that was a pretty crazy fight there. You can see hi-rez did fall in the engagement. 1 and 4, but he got a couple assists in exceL. I mean, they were down most of this game, but overall 6 kills after it, and they've actually neutralized the gold lead that Barrage have, only 300 separating the teams.
The problem for Barrage, that teamfight, was the fact that Scylla got poked out at the beginning, and they had no more damage for the remainder of that teamfight, which is why exceL had so many kills, and Barrage were not able to respond. hi-rez finding the long-distance snipe onto Elexum.
What? Were there minions there? Oh no, there's the ward. Oh, you can see they had a ward in the mid lane, and that just gave him the vision. He was probably backing. Oh, what a great play. And what a beautiful play by hi-rez.
Wards win games, just like that.
Wards win games, and hi-rez getting a pick that maybe he shouldn't have, and a little bit of that one more wave greed coming out from Elexum as well. We didn't really talk about that, but I mean, he was still there. Fudge taking this guy, going to be looking for a gank. Is by himself, but the attention's going to be turned to Stacy. He's going to take one up into the air, but I mean, the Thor and Janus are going to be waiting for him. Perfect Thor wall, but Stacy can't get out.
Off of this, exceL could potentially invade the red buff. They do have 4 members, but they're going to look for the more aggressive play going onto the gold here. They do have the Guan Yu sustain, and there are 2 members from Barrage trying to contest this. They have an Athena taunt that could stall out this the Gold Fury.
I mean, this is risky. Fudge is around the corner, but he was dealing with minions, and Elexum's around too. The attention's going to be turned to all. Ricochet going to find a nice stun, but it can't connect. There comes the curse, all just trying to create distance, and he actually gets double tapped. Fudge going to shorten it up, but he gets rooted out as well by Elexum, and managing to get out once again. Only one death to his name, but I mean, I've seen him at, red 3 or 4 times now.
Unfortunately for Barrage, for exceL, they could have potentially looked for that red buff invade. It would have been a lot safer and cleaner. Instead, looking for the risky play, trying to bait out Barrage, but it didn't really pan out for them.
And, I mean, Fudge right now level 13 compared to Stacy level 10. Well, we saw this Naja get started off to a really good game, I think. Just setting up a couple kills, getting his mid laner ahead, but now he finds himself 1-4-2. Down about 800 gold and down 3 levels. Now only 2, but still pretty significant.
The gold is not as much as you think because obviously Thor did go the red power, whereas Naja didn't. But
That's
the
true.
2 levels that could be instantly turned in this next team fight as long as Naja and Scylla can synergize right at the beginning of this team fight, especially if they find an early pick onto Fudge. Then that could be the levels that Stacy need.
This is really risky. Fudge has his ultimate, and you can see Barrage priming this up. hi-rez has to use his ult defensively as he got caught out by himself, but here comes Rawski and Thor over the top as well. Gold Fury's reset, but the Scylla is running away, but he runs straight back into Rawski. Talu Assault shreds him to pieces here, and Rawski just going to be turning his attention along with the solo lane Cabrakan here, but they disengage, they got the kill, and they stopped the Gold Fury.
Beautiful play by Rawski, just making sure that he keeps the Scylla out of the team fight. Even though he was very fortunate enough to find the Scylla returning into the team fight, the zoning was beautiful.
Apollo not going to land on anyone. Jeron just trying to scout things out, maybe a couple members low.
Is it Jeron or Jeron?
I don't know. Jeron? I don't think we took note of it, but ManLikeStacy, ManLikeJeron, or Jeron.
Oh yeah, look at that. Looks like they've played together probably in the same team before.
More than likely. I don't know though, man. They just... What do you think it is? Jeron or Jeron?
I would say Jeron.
All right. We're going to go with Jeron then.
It's my call.
It's your call. I'll give it to you, Tully.
Well, anyway, back to the game. 15 minutes in. Both of these teams are very close in gold. Experience-wise, tells a little bit of a different story. 2,000, almost 3 in the favor of exceL. Most of that is on the jungle.
Gold Fury, though, or excuse me, Gold actually pretty close. Only a couple hundred separating the teams. For 15 minutes in, that's negligible. That's like 1 sentry ward at that point. Speaking of warding here, we have not actually too much wards, mostly centered around the Gold Fury right now here. Drizzi gonna try and get the better of this Apollo in the 1v1, and this is a fight he wants to take pretty often as long as that passive from Apollo isn't up.
Especially with Mark of the Golden Crow at this rank maxed out, you're gonna do a lot of extra damage. Ooh. Finding the stun, Jeron taking a lot of poke, and Drizzi just going to take the win and back off, reset, waiting for Fudge to come around the corner potentially for a gank. Yeah,
you can see that ward of the mid lane paying dividends there for exceL. They noticed that the Scylla was rotating, so he just backed off and didn't even set himself up to be ganked. Fudge, though, trying to set something up, but so is all right around the corner here, and this is going to favor Fudge. There comes the aggression, but Fudge is going to come down on top to counter this.
The counter aggression is going to be very coordinating. It's going to connect onto no one right now, but the Berserker Barrage being connected onto Apollo, not going to connect with the Tectonic Rift. Athena's going to disengage away as the through space and time does make its way to the duel lane.
But honestly, 2 members forced out. This could be a Gold Fury. The counter ward's coming out, and exceL is in a favorable position, but the rotation has already been called for Barrage. Actually, Jeron getting very greedy. A little bit of Zapman inside him, trying to get that last wave, but he's going to be forced back finally.
exceL could have potentially started the Gold Fury, but it would be a little risky considering the fact that the only ultimates down for Barrage is the Athena, whereas now you don't have Thor, Janus, or the Hui ultimate, so trying to do Gold Fury or even defend against Barrage doing Gold Fury is very risky.
Both teleports are up, but you can see the Cabrakan just going to be stripping away that speed buff. That's going to put Stacy even further behind than he already is, so trouble for Barrage's jungler. He's kind of just standing around here in this fight, not able to get the farm because of that. And it looks like he wants to get something going, but not going to risk dash it in.
Jeron taking a lot of poke from the double tap from Fudge. And right now, Barrage needs to find a kill and get this Naja back in some levels. They need to win this team fight. They cannot have Stacy fall behind. Especially with a Naja, you don't want to have an under-leveled ultimate.
And you can see the risk he's gone into. You know, there's a couple different Najas will go into different build paths. You see a lot go into the beat stick just because it provides, you know, just a little bit less damage than the Deathbringer, just because of the penetration. However, it's so much cheaper. So, I mean, damage efficiency-wise, it's great, but going into the Deathbringer is Stacy, and it's going to take him a while to get that gold.
It's very risky because Naja isn't really a utility jungler compared to Thor. Even if the Thor gets behind, you still have the long-range setup. Yes. You have the Tectonic Rift and the Hammer. If Stacy commits with a Satch, he's going to be in front of your face, and now he has to ultimate either offensively, which is not going to do as much damage considering he's underleveled, or he's going to just use it defensively because now he's out of position.
And I think he's also noticed that he's getting a little behind. He's gone into the sprint, so if he does go deep, he does have that movement speed, maybe the ability to juke out the other members to stay alive. But Thor trying to set something up, and he's going to land, connects onto two. Elexum just trying to reset, but his dash is down, and Rawski knows it. He's targeting out the mage in the backline by himself. No one can get through the portal, and he's going to be forced to pop I'm a Monster defensively. That's really good for exceL.
Rawski doing a good job zoning. Meanwhile, Kaajee using his ulti, trying to secure the blue buff, and Watson could potentially use his ultimate to secure Athena ultimate on top of Jeron, trying to deter exceL away from this Gold Fury.
Oh, actually, Barrage pick up the Gold Fury. There's the reset. And here comes Watson rotation in. He's looking for Hatters, trying to get through the portal. Barely managed to make it. But Jeron deep into the fight as well. Looking at Fudge. He's going to be rooted out, and Watson is cleaning up for Barrage. This is really important for them. Two-man taunt finds Drizzi and Kaajee just going to sacrifice himself. Meditation pops. Barrage is surging forward, looking for any more kills, but it seems like exceL are going to manage to get out.
This is a good 1-for-0. A lot of cooldowns were used on both sides. So Barrage could potentially start up this Gold Fury, trying to bait somebody from exceL to come out of position. We do have Watson underneath, waiting for this rotation. They're going to be a pincer attack.
Oh, yeah, and Rawski doesn't know what's happening. Watson there just trying to zone it out. Gold Fury is not being completed right now. They're trying to wait for their burst, but Rawski's ultimate is already back up, and he's going to be looking on the right-hand side. Two-man stun. Elexum manages to get out, but here comes the Tremors. 4 people inside it, and Barrage now trying to disengage, but Hatters is back. The ricochet. Drizzi can't connect it. He actually hits it on the wrong wall.
So now exceL with a little bit of a win on this side. They're going to be the ones trying to force the Gold Fury. Looking at the Apollo. Apollo does have the ultimate, so
he's ulting.
Could back. Going to ulti with very little health. But
I mean, this is really risky. And here comes the Athena ult as well. It's going to try and be enough. And Barrage actually steal the Gold Fury away. The two-man taunt. Rawski does fall in the backline. Jeron somehow managing to isolate the one player he needed very low. He will be traded out, but the Gold Fury still in favor of Barrage.
Beautiful steal and beautiful recognition from the Apollo at the same time. Just being able to multitasking, respecting the fact that he had the trust in his teammates to be able to steal it. 9 times out of 10, you would normally see Apollo in that situation try to go for the steal, considering the Gold Fury was that low, but bigger sights with the Guan in the backline.
And he did isolate them. Tried to get the 1v1 with Fudge as well, but that was interrupted by the Cabrakan. Elexum here actually baiting Fudge, and Fudge should fall here. The damage from the
I'm a Monster
didn't do enough, but I'm a Monster.
Gonna reset it, and now he's in a lot of trouble. Cabrakan has made the rotation, gonna find the return kill. Elexum falling for Fudge. Definitely gonna favor, I would say, exceL in this position. Not having that damage from the Scylla could mean that they're going to play aggressive. Now, on the left-hand side, exceL is trying to get that tier 1 tower in the duel lane.
And you can see Watson just trying to trade out towers there here. The Cabrakan's going to rotate in, but the minions might do enough damage to finish it off. Drizzi gets his tower on the right-hand side, and the Cabrakan can't defend his. So first tower's on the board, and they're traded out just 10 seconds apart from each other.
I would say it's a very close game still, despite Barrage having about a 2,000 gold lead, because the experience still favoring exceL with the Thor 2 levels ahead of Naja.
But I mean, with that last death, it's going to give time for Stacy to finally farm back into this one, and he's only, after that Gold Fury, they're only separated by about 300 gold. That's the big thing. The Deathbringer's still not online, but he has to be incredibly close at this point. I think he had 1,000 before the Gold Fury.
And once that does come online, then the targets such as the Hunter and the mid laner is going to be prime candidates to just take up into the sky. I'm going to leave them at about 33% health or lives just with the ultimate.
And now the lull in action comes, I think, a little bit here. 11-7 in kills. We're 22 minutes into this one, but pretty close matchup. And I'd say a lot of this has been run through the junglers, right? You know, Stacy and Fudge either setting up for their team or baiting for their team in a lot of situations. We've really seen Fudge, I think, probably be one of the biggest aggressors in the match across all 10 players.
Also look for a good counter aggression, so trying to mix things up, being offensive and defensive. Naja now picking up the Deathbringer, looking like you're going to probably build into either Magai's Blessing or Spirit Robe.
Oh, just trying to go full defensive. I would imagine Spirit's Robe. I mean, there's so much CC on exceL if you look at it. The Cabrakan, the Thor, even the Janus portal, the Ricochet stun, and then the ult from Guan Yu. There is a lot of hard CC that Spirit's Robe will help you negate probably a significant amount of damage that you take.
Also getting a little bit of extra cooldown would be beneficial for the Naja.
Yeah, get that 30%. Jeron here, oh, nice Ricochet. Gonna find a stun onto one, connect onto another, but Drizzi, I don't think he recognizes how much aggression's around him. Watson has looped around. He should fall eventually. The teleport's in from Cabrakan, trying to isolate Jeron, and it's actually gonna be Fudge diving deep out into it, but he misses everything, and in the meantime, Drizzi finally gets picked off.
Stacy taking out Drizzi. The team fight happens. Watson connecting onto a few targets. Meanwhile, Rawski in the backline trying to zone away the Apollo and the Scylla, not really connecting on those cavalry charge hits.
And now exceL, they're being pushed back right now. Barrage surging forward. Hatter's trying to set up a good amount of damage, but the meditation going to negate most of it, and the health is back up for Barrage, but the counter meditation is out for exceL, and they might be able to hold this tower here. Fudge very low. He has to be incredibly careful.
Dash Taunt connects on the Guan Yu. Not much follow-up damage. Crush is going to be wasted onto the archers, and not anyone on the side of exceL. Now Naja committing.
Oh,
Tremors might
deep.
Catch. The Stacy is going to fall off of the Tremors.
Yeah, Hatter's lining up the damage there. Hits the unstable vortex. Jeron, though, with the long range hit, hits Kaajee, finishes him off. Gonna pop his Sanctuary just to keep alive from the portal. But overall, exceL, they're gonna be able to hold on to this tower at the very least.
Which is very important. 1-for-1 trade. Stacy was able to find the opening pick. That was a very clutch engagement necessary for him to get back into this game, and now he's only one level behind.
Oh, it still looks like Barrage want this. Jeron gonna get portaled, and there's the Mez just to stop the damage. Cavalry charge defensively, and finally the tier 2 falls, but Fudge is back in the fight. He does have his ultimate if he wants to chase into this, and it seems like he does.
Beautiful
Drizzi
stun.
gonna find the stun. Fudge has gotta be in the air.
And it's gonna be zoned away from Athena. Beautifully done. Drizzi not able to really connect onto that. Gonna still have vision of the Scylla for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, Watson was able to split push in the mid lane, getting that tier 1 mid tower. So Barrage doing a really good job objectively getting these towers and extending their goal lead, and also stealing that goal fear earlier on with this lead.
I'm really surprised Fudge didn't ult onto that. I mean, that was a pretty much dead Scylla, as long as he connects it, but I guess not wanting to risk it, there were 2 other members around, and about a 5,000 gold lead now for Barrage that we just saw. Going to start to see some item differences finally.
So speaking of items, off of that team fight, Stacy picking up the Spirit Robe, going to be able to absorb a lot of damage after being CC'd, especially once Stacy goes in. He wants to absorb these cooldowns now.
So I got a question about Aw's build. So he hasn't died yet. He's 0, 1, and 6. He's got 3 defensive items, but no health. Like, is this a little bit risky on the Athena?
I wouldn't say so, because the way the passive works of Athena is going to absorb a few in-hands. With after you use the dash, you're going to get those 3 in-hands being absorbed. And the fact that the Spirit Robe is online as well negates a lot of effective damage coming from exceL.
Okay, and a fair amount of protections across the board for that one. Gold Fury was trying to be snuck by Barrage, but exceL saw what was going on.
Also,
and,
Travel Shoes going to give you a little bit of HP 5 out of combat, so...
Actually, a good amount of HP 5 out of combat. exceL, though, they've started this up, and now actually a taunt comes out, and Kaajee finds the stun onto all, just trying to zone for now. Gold Fury, it's at 50% right now. Fudge, he's made the rotation, and the Cabrakan ult used just to zone. There's the Thor wall as well, but there's really not a lot of secure for exceL.
And with that, Rawski's going to dive the backline, trying to do a lot of damage on top of Scylla, making her Alma Monster effectively useless now, and with the stuns being down, Elexum's going to be the first victim. Scylla Naja taking 1 in the air, but there's no Scylla follow-up. She's dead.
Jeron, though, he's dove pretty deep there. Hatter's actually probably going to get picked off. He can line up the auto, and there it is. Now a 2v1 on the top side, though. Drizzi getting isolated by Watson. I don't see him getting out of this one. Stacy's around here as well. One more hit. There it is. Fudge comes down, trying to find Stacy. He hits the stun, but he can't hit the double tap. Only 1 part hit, and he actually tries to back in the middle of 3. That's not going to go in your favor, buddy. And he's going to be chased down. Looking for his hammer. It's up in 1 second, and he's going to... Oh, can't get it off in time.
So close. And with that, that team fight is going to favor Barrage, trading 3 for 1. And now, 3 for 2, I'm sorry. The Apollo did fall in the backline there at the end.
And you could see they wanted to do the Gold Fury, but with only the Ravana and the Athena, probably not worth. Instead, they're just going to get a little farm in the mid lane, get their Athena up there in levels finally. But there are 2 members to match them, so no tier 2 tower.
I would say compared to the last time these two teams faced, this is a position where Barrage was about to close out the game, and now exceL has not only held them at the same time, but they put themselves in a good position earlier on, and they're still not out of it. Despite having basic even game, they're only down 6,000 at this point.
Yeah, and I think the big thing too is that we talk about, you know, I talk about playing scared versus, you know, playing respectful, and they're not playing scared because a lot of teams like on the lower end they'll play scared to the higher end teams, and we're not seeing that from exceL. If they have an advantage, they're looking to push it. They're looking to take it. It just hasn't always worked out for them, you know, kind of like that Gold Fury steal.
A little bit misguided, especially the first Gold Fury that they attempted that was reset instead of going for that safer red buff invade off of that first pick. Then that'll come eventually once they're a little bit more comfortable with some of their objective prioritization.
And still, exceL have yet to find a win in the SCL here, but they're trying, and they're not out of this one yet. They're still up in kills. Barrage starting up the Gold Fury for the third time here. Drizzi getting taunted out.
Taking a lot of damage.
And he's going to have to jump away, and unless Fudge is in the air, which it doesn't seem like he is, that's going to go to Barrage.
Through space and time, and the Thor ultimate was used, but I don't really expect Fudge to come landing down anytime soon.
The call is made. And he actually is, but he's going to go onto Watson and hammer out. So just trying to get free damage. Oh no, but he's run straight into all. And Watson going to jump over the top as well. There comes I'm a Monster. One down. The reset is good. And now looking for a second hit. Waiting for someone to find the stun. And he's actually going to hit Drizzi over the wall. It's not enough to finish him off, but this is a real bad fight for exceL. Fudge doing everything he can, but I don't think he's going to walk out.
2-for-0 trade. They're trying to find a third one. It's going to be onto Kaajee. Going to get stunned down. Not going to find the slow. However, Watson is going to continue to slow. Nasha taking up Kaajee into the sky. That should be the third victim.
Yeah, he's going to come crashing back down. There comes the crush. Does get a 3-man stun, and Rawski trying to help out his solo laner, but, I mean, he's kind of just walked into his own death. There's 5 members surrounding him. They're right here at the tier 2 as well. It's going to fall, and Barrage not only get the Gold Fury, but they find 4 kills and a tier 2 on top of that. Extending
their goal lead to about 11,000 at the 29-minute mark. So just about 2.5 minutes ago, this game was still, you know, in exceL's, not favor, but they weren't out of it. I would say now, after that 2.5 minutes, exceL are basically out of it, especially after this fire gen.
I mean, I'm looking at all, honestly, right? Like, so we didn't think Fudge was going to come down, but he just tried to get a little bit of extra damage on Watson. He hammers through, and then just as he walks around the corner, all is waiting for him. Finds a taunt onto him, 2 other members as well. A couple burn their purification, but it's just immediately a pile-in by Barrage, and they take those players out one at a time.
And that's just basically using all the kit of Athena at your advantage. You want to always be looking for these taunt plays, even if nobody's around in that specific instance. Drizzi using the purification in fear that somebody was around the corner.
And now, exceL, we were kind of talking about how they were in this one, and, you know, technically they still are, but it's going to be a pretty hard road for them to get back in and win the game here. They're down in kills now. They're down in gold significantly. They're down in a fire giant. And they've only got 1 tower remaining, so Barrage now going to spend that gold lead and try and push them down.
So every stage of the game is a very important factor, and now at this stage for exceL, it's going to be the defense of the Phoenixes. And the way they've been playing the rest of the earlier game, it's been progress compared to their last 6 games currently in the SCL. So it's going to be important to see how their defense has improved as well.
And you can see here, they're actually grouped up on this tower, so they might try and defend it, but I guess they're going to give it up. Kaajee's going to be backing. He's looking to finish off, I think, a Soul Reaver. There it is. That's going to be pretty big for exceL, because we have seen this Cabrakan do a fair amount of damage in the back line, only sitting in the middle of the charts. But, I mean, if he can just 100-0 anyone, right? If he gets 100-0 Elexum, that's going to be a win. That's going to be a huge win for exceL in a team fight.
In this position, a lot of elite teams that are ever behind in this position would always be looking for a split push opportunity. Looking at the left-hand side, there's a wave there that could have been taken advantage of, but exceL trying to defend instead.
And you could see actually Apollo on that left-hand side, but he doesn't have a wave to back him up, so he's going to have to make the rotation. Going to walk right over a ward as well if he goes into that lane, but Barrage pushing forward, all going to find a taunt onto Kaajee, who's very low here. Elexum is actually going to get bursted, but managed to get the Sentinel off in time. Oh no, that's huge, and the through space of time can't connect. All's forced back as well, but Rawski's going for it, and Fudge takes out Elexum.
Beautiful play so far. Elexum going to be the first victim. Awe is going to be chased down as well, popping the sprint, trying to disengage. Drizzi falling into the backline to Stacy. Meanwhile, Awe taking out 2-for-1 trade so far for exceL's favor. However, they did lose the right side Phoenix, and now the mid Phoenix falls as well. So a nice spread out team fight from Barrage.
And that's the thing, is that exceL, we're kind of winning this, but look at this. It's a full commit on the left-hand side, too. 2 members grouping up. They're going to be able to get this Phoenix. No way Kaajee could stop it. He's going to get medged out, but it's going to be Watson finishing off the Phoenix. One more hit, and Fudge takes out Stacy finally. This is going to be a one fight for exceL overall, but at the same time, they lost all 3 Phoenixes.
And with that, oh, they get another return kill. So far, it's been a 3 for 2 in exceL's favor, 4 for 2 now. So if they can find this last deicide, maybe they can get a return Phoenix, but there's a lot of towers that stand in their way.
I mean, at the very, like, they have to get all these Phoenixes. They're chasing down Watson, and at one point, they're going to have to almost ignore him. Watson, no ultimate, though. Tremors abound here. He's trying to escape, and he will, but he's wasting so much time for exceL, and exceL finally recognized that, and they're going to turn their attention to the towers, but Scylla's already respawned.
And that's what you have to do as Watson. You want to buy as much time for your team to respawn, because Tier 1 tower losing it at this position doesn't really mean anything. Now, if you can delay Tier 2 to have the Athena and the Scylla respawn, then you could successfully defend the Tier 2, and that's exactly what he did.
And nothing. exceL win the fight, but they get absolutely nothing off of it. That's brutal. Fire Giant going to be spawning here in about 2 minutes. Fudge just going to get a speed buff, but this is giving time for exceL to farm up and, you know, earn that gold that they're going to be able to spend to get into the full build. You can see Cabrakan needs 1 item. We just saw, I think, Mantle of Discord picked up for Fudge, so he's going to be a little bit more tanky, has some options. And Chronos Pendant finished off for the Janus.
The way that teamfight began on the right side Phoenix, there was beautiful wards coming from exceL into the mid Phoenix and the right side jungle intersection between middle and right. And they saw the Apollo trying to look for something on the other side. So that's why they forced that teamfight at the beginning of the right side Phoenix. Unfortunately, they couldn't find the kills as fast as they would have liked. All was able to disengage. Rawski had to commit with his ultimate. There were 3 members chasing down the Athena, which is what allowed the Apollo to get the middle Phoenix and then regroup with Watson for the left side.
And now with Fireman who's pushing in, I'm assuming Barrage is just going to like play it slow, right? Just kind of wait for the next Fire Giant spawn and then look for the Phoenixes.
Because the exceL have to defend all these fire waves that are coming at them from all 3 lanes. It's not something that you want to leave your Titan exposed to, especially considering the fact that Apollo could potentially use one of those waves and easily end the game.
He could win. He could pull a Zapman at the launch tournament where he just split pushed to victory here. Kaajee, oh, trouble for him. He's going to pop his ultimate defensively and actually try and turn around on Stacy, but it's not going to be enough to finish him off. And that Fire Giant has fallen off, so no regen for the Naja, but he does have Flaming Spear, so he'll be able to keep pretty healthy himself.
So now it looks like Barrage is going to just push down the mid lane with this Fire Wave.
Do they want to win?
Not waiting for Fire Giant. Maybe looking for a pick, potentially. The timing of getting Fire Giant would sync up with all these Phoenixes respawning. That would be the safer play. However, Barrage are up 15,000 gold. And
you can see the Fire Giant has respawned. The team's going to be grouping in the mid and going straight to it. So what they did there was actually just kind of push those fire waves in, which makes it harder for exceL. If they want to if they want to fight at the Fire Giant, they have to risk losing or sending or leaving a person to defend the base.
And that one fire wave will take about 33% of your Titan's health alone, so have to respect that. Hui is going to defend the left-hand side. Meanwhile, Barrage going to start up the Fire Giant. Elexum going to get knocked up, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter because nobody from exceL wants to contest.
It's only Fudge that's going to be able to contest with his ult, and you can see he's just cleared out the minion waves. Fire Giant online for Barrage once again, 18-18. Read the kills, but Barrage are in full control of this match. They're all full build here. They're charging down the right-hand side. Phoenixes are going to be respawning very shortly. You can see them ticking away, and there it goes.
The syncing up of the Fire Giant right side Phoenix going to get conceded immediately from exceL. They need to look for a potential long-range poke with this Janus Unstable Vortex connecting onto Awe, but nobody else. And here comes Rawski and Thor's in the sky.
The full commit, actually, but the Kaajee's ultimate gets nothing, and Hatters, he's just kind of being distracted by Watson right now in the backline. Kaajee in the middle of 3, but he's not going to be able to stay. Stacy gets the kill. Oh, through space of time, connects onto 2. Jeron, he's going to be the first victim, and actually very low as Fudge takes out Elexum. This is a good fight for exceL right now. The team's looking for Awe. They're chasing him down, but Stacy in the backline might be able to take out at least 1 in the return kill, and he does manage to get Hatters with the help of those Fire Archers. So far, it's a 2 for 3 in favor of exceL.
So holding so far. However, they lose the left side Phoenix, and there are also 2 fire waves that are going to be flooding into the Titan room. Did you see how that Guan Yu was moving during that whole team fight? I was so distracted by that.
Yeah, he was feeling himself a little bit. All the Phoenixes, though, respawned. They were all destroyed once again. So exceL still kind of on their back foot here, but they're still getting the gold to finish off their builds. You could see Drizzi looking for his last crit item, and that's pretty big for a hunter, right? If you can get that crit online and get some RNG.
And that's something that they're going to have to do and get the kills that they need to early on in these team fights. Drizzi having a lot of damage with Mark of the Golden Crow. You supplement that with crit. It doesn't matter who's in front of your face, whether it's Awe, whether it's going to be Stacy, even with the Mantle of Discord now that was picked up instead of the Spear that he had earlier on.
And you can see that Oboe is going to be doing a lot in the team fights as well. Taking a look at the top damage charts, though, it's Jeron, 29,000 on the Apollo. Stacy has recovered quite nicely after you know, a 1-4 start, sitting at 7, 7, and 7. He's a god, some would say. 25,000 damage as well, second. But it's really up to hi-rez, I'd say, for exceL. I mean, we saw that through Space's time connect onto 2 players, completely eliminating one, and I think getting the Apollo incredibly low, and then the Unstable Vortex finishing some stuff off. So Barrage is going to have to put someone to take care of him. And that could be it right there.
There is no purification on hi-rez. He's going to die, and that's going to be a 5-on-4 for the rest of this team fight. Defensive ulti from Kaajee. Fudge is in the sky, but there's no way he's going to land by himself. So those are going to be 2 ultimates not available for exceL to defend this Titan that's at half health.
That's got to be game. I mean, you can see the fire waves, one in the right, one in the left, and one in the mid coming up soon here. Kaajee, though, knows that he needs to take this fight outside of the Titan room. Elexum, he swings away. He gets Kaajee, swings away again. He gets Fudge. The double kill, looking for the triple, and it's going to be Stacy to steal it up, but this is going to be a fight and a win for Barrage. It looked really strong for exceL at the start of it, but Barrage managed to hold out 1 stolen Gold Fury and 1 team fight, and we just saw the snowball take effect.
I would say that overall, the progress of exceL this game compared to their last 6 has definitely showed them that they're ready to play the remainder of the split.
And we did see, I mean, even managing to hold their base a couple times there, winning fights, right? Even though they couldn't, you know, survive long enough to finally take control of the game, still winning those really critical engagements near the end of the game. So something to look forward to for exceL. They've still yet to pick up a win, but they got a second game here. It is a set of 2, and we'll see if they can find it this time.
And the way they played in the mid game was very aggressive, you know, looking for the goal for, like we mentioned. It was just slightly too overzealous at that stage of the game. The game was very even at that point in time, trying to force Barrage to defend it instead of going for the easier play, which was the red buff that one time after the first early pick. However, their late game team fighting was just on point. They were very patient when Fudge was in the sky, and after mid-Phoenix, also that hold, like you mentioned, the double through space and time is just what allowed exceL to hold on. They were winning those team fights despite losing those Phoenixes.
Well, before we get into the next game, though, we have an announcement to make. We're going to see some changes in the SPL fall split. We've got a show coming up next Wednesday, July 6th. Make sure to tune into twitch.tv/hi-rez to learn all about the exciting new changes. It's going to be at 4 p.m. Eastern, guys, so make sure not to miss that one.
It's going to be very exciting. We have some interesting news.
Some interesting news.
Are you excited?
I don't know what it is. What is it?
I don't know either. I thought you knew.
I didn't know. They just told me to announce stuff. Who knows?
Pecky knows.
Pecky's always knows. We got game.